Hey there, it's Justin, the Renegade Realtor from South Pasadena. And I want to talk about inflation and specifically the link between inflation and housing. I am of the belief that there's no difference. However, and I know what you're thinking, of course there's no difference. Well, in federal agencies and the real estate community do not peg house prices to inflation. There is a belief that homes are a hedge against inflation because they are always diverging away from inflation with an upward trajectory. Meaning they outpace inflation. And I know if you're thinking, well, that's weird, how can they always be diverging away from inflation? And I would, I'm wondering the same thing. And my assessment is that that's nonsense. Of course, the best measure of inflation that you will ever find are the cost of housing. It's great. You know, the dirt, you're paying for the dirt. You're paying for these neighborhoods that they're not, they're not making anymore, or they're not making anymore in Sierra Madre. There's a finite space. So housing is inflation. It is inflation. It's not that it's related to it, or it's not that it is outpacing it, or it is inflation. That's my assessment. That's why I'm making this video. And I'd love it if you'd give me some feedback. And tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. I hear people, this is a justification for why from the federal government, it's that, well, things aren't that bad. Inflation is only X amount, and housing is Y amount. It's changed, it's gone up more than at the rate of inflation. Nonsense. It's something wrong with that, right? And unfortunately, realtors will encourage somebody to buy a house because they say, well, it's a great hedge against inflation. It outpaces inflation. And they, it's the best investment you can make. I don't think houses are a great investment. I think they're the greatest thing in the world to buy, and you should buy one if you can afford it. You won't regret it, I don't think. However, don't think it's a hedge against inflation, and don't think it is this great investment. I mean, it's a great investment in your own being, yourself, your soul. That's a great investment for that, for sure. Maybe not at these prices. Maybe you should wait a little longer, but it's certainly a great investment in yourself. As far as a financial investment, I don't think so. Now, some people bought houses, 18 months ago and sold them 6 months ago and made a profit because the house, well, good for you. And so you played the game right and you made a little money. Well, my assessment is a great investment at 10x's. Maybe it takes 10 years, but it's 10x. Housing doesn't do that. The thing that disturbs me so much is that you and your neighbor both bought your house in 1970 for $40,000. Well, now you're selling your house in 2022 for $1 million. But you say, oh, I sold my house. What a huge pile of money. This is great. Houses really are a great investment. And it's like, shit, I need a place to live. So you try to buy your neighbor's house. Well, it's $1 million. So you buy it, and you're zeroed out. You got nothing left. Well, was it such a great investment? I don't understand how it could be. It just tracked inflation. It was a good savings account, and it tracked inflation. You get all your money back, But so I would again. I'm gonna get back to this issue of, yes, housing. I mean, you buy a house, you feel like an adult. You get involved in your community. You get involved with your neighbors. You take a stand. You decide. You make up your mind. You're going to live in this community. These are going to be your neighbors, and it's going to be great. And I think it usually is great, as long as you can pay the mortgage, right? But again, and I would say put it out of your mind. If you're concerned, if you're looking at the rate of inflation and thinking about it, forget it. And again, I think your house tracks inflation perfectly. And I think anybody says it's its value is going up more than the rate of inflation is ridiculous. Think about a pair of Levi's. You buy a pair in 1978. Remember my mom taking me to the store. We bought Levi's. I think they were like $21 in the late 70s. Now, they haven't gone up that much because they used to be made in America. When I was a kid, they were made in America, like a lot of things. Now they're made in Asia. Well, of course the price of Levi's hasn't gone up. If you're saying, well, look at the price of Levi's. They're not, compared to that, well, the houses aren't made in Asia. They're made, they're made here, and they're made by American standards, or you're buying an antique house. You're paying for the dirt. If you look at a Gibson Les Paul, I know it's a funny thing to bring up, but a Gibson Les Paul guitar, it's made in America, and there's a cult surrounding Les Paul guitars, and Gibson, the manufacturer, has concluded that they need to make them damn near exactly the way they made them in the 50s, so that they maintain their cult status and their desirability. So if you buy a Les Paul today, it will be made almost exactly the same. I mean, as close as they can do it to the 50s, and that's why the legend of the instrument goes on, and people want them. They maintain desirability. But that would be a more reasonable measurement of inflation, because it is a high-end product that's been made the same way, close to the same way, for since the 50s, and there's a lot of hands-on. Now, it's not a perfect measure of inflation because there's CNC machines, there's modern technology that's making it more efficient. So I would say, if they made a Les Paul the exact same way with the old equipment from the 50s, it would cost more. Now, I think they've shaved off some labor, some time. However, it's still it's a handcrafted American-made thing with high-end American-made parts and high-end tone woods. It costs a lot of money. They're about 10 times what they were in 1960. Let's say 1962, just 2022. It's about 10 times. Is that inflation? It's better than a lot of other measurements, but I don't think anything. Because how many Les Pauls do you buy? Not many, right? You probably don't buy any. Well, then that's useless. How many Levi's do you buy? How much do you spend on Levi's? Not much. But homes is where you spend all your money, and that's what matters. And this is what I find so disturbing. It's like, look, the rate of inflation is the change in price of the things that you spend money on. What a novel idea. You don't spend much on Les Pauls, you don't spend much on Levi's, but you do spend a lot on housing. So then the rest is rubbish. It doesn't matter. It's the price of the housing that matters to you. So maybe the rate of inflation just doesn't matter. It's not irrelevant to you. It's just a number that they throw around. But unfortunately, it's an incorrect number, the price of a house, because you ain't getting it for any less than it's selling for. So you're well aware of that, and you have no choice. And that is inflation, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think anything tells you true inflation better than housing. I would love to get feedback from you. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me how. Why is what I'm saying wrong? I heard an economist say recently, and it was so refreshing, because I've been looking for this for years. He said, look, the rate of inflation is where you're spending all your money. Well, thank you. That's what I've been looking for a long time. So I would say don't buy. The point I'm trying to make, thanks for getting through this thing with me, if you're still here. The point I'm trying to make is, if you are buying a house because it's a hedge against, do you think it's a hedge against inflation? Think again. It's not. So again, I think it's the best thing you can do. You should buy a house, and you won't regret it. I don't think, and if you do, you can sell it. But don't buy it and don't listen to your realtor telling you it's a hedge against inflation. I don't buy that. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Thanks for listening. Good day.